Tonight's story is about a guest who checked in, but never checked out. And by the time you finish this video, you'll realize why some doors should never be opened, even when someone's begging on the other side. The Pinewood Motel was the kind of place people stayed when they didn't want to be found. It sat on a lonely stretch of highway, a forgotten relic of another time. There were no cameras to watch you come and go, no staff after midnight to ask questions. The rooms were so old, the wallpaper peeled away from the walls like sunburned skin, revealing decades of secrets underneath. Jenna worked the front desk on the night shift. The pay was terrible, the hours were worse, and the only company she had was the hum of the ancient vending machine. There was one rule, and it was the only one that mattered. The manager had delivered it with a voice that made your bones listen. Never, ever rent out room 9. She never asked why. Nobody did. You just understood that some questions were better left unanswered at the Pinewood Motel. One night, the clock on the wall ticked past 2 in the morning. The rain was beating against the windows, each drop like a tiny fist. The front door creaked open, and a man stumbled in at exactly 2:13 a.m. He was pale, drenched, and sweating despite the cold. His eyes were wide with a terror that seemed to follow him in from the storm. "Please," he whispered, his voice raspy and thin. "I need a room, any room." Jenna glanced at her computer screen, the green text glowing in the dark office. Every single room was booked, all except one. Room 9. She shook her head. "I'm sorry, sir. We're completely full tonight." The man leaned forward over the counter, his desperation so thick she could almost taste it. "Please," he begged again, his voice cracking. "Don't make me go back out there." Something in his eyes, a raw, primal fear, made her stomach twist into a knot. He wasn't just running from the rain. He was running from something else. Something out there in the dark. Against every rule, against every instinct screaming at her to say no, a wave of pity washed over her. She sighed, pulled the key from the hook, and slid it across the counter. The key to room 9. A few hours passed. The storm outside quieted to a low rumble. Jenna was half asleep in her chair when the front desk phone rang, its shrill sound cutting through the silence. She checked the little display. The call was coming from room 9. She picked it up. "Front desk," she said, her voice heavy with sleep. "Did you hear it?" The man from room 9 whispered. His voice was trembling, tight with fear. "Hear what, sir?" "The knocking," he breathed. Before she could ask another question, the line filled with a burst of static, loud and sharp, and then went dead. Jenna hung up the phone, her heart starting to hammer against her ribs. She listened, holding her breath, and then she heard it too. A slow, heavy knock. Thump. Thump. It was coming from down the hall, from the direction of room 9. But the man was inside the room. The knocking sounded like it was coming from inside, too. The Pinewood Motel did have one camera. It was old, covered in a layer of dust, and mounted high on the wall, pointing directly at the entrance to room 9. It was never used. The manager said it didn't even work. But Jenna, driven by a cold dread, flipped the switch on the ancient monitor beneath the desk. The screen flickered to life, a grainy, black and white image appearing through the static. And then she saw it. The man was in his room. He was sitting on the edge of the bed, his back to the camera, staring intently at his own door. He was perfectly still. But as she watched, she realized the knocking wasn't coming from the hallway. It wasn't coming from the door he was staring at. It was coming from behind him. In the far corner of the room, half hidden in the grainy shadows, something stood. It was just a shape, long, bent, and wrong. Its head was tilted at an impossible angle, just brushing the ceiling. As Jenna stared, paralyzed, the shape leaned forward slowly, its long arm extending, and it knocked again on the wall, right behind the man. The phone rang again. Room 9. Her hand was shaking as she answered it. "It's in here," the man whispered, his voice barely audible. "It's in the room with me." "What is?" Jenna asked, her own voice a strained whisper. There was a long, terrible silence on the other end of the line. She could hear his ragged breathing. Then he spoke one last time, his voice filled with a chilling finality. "Don't open the door. Whatever you do, don't open it." The line went dead. A moment later, a loud, heavy thump echoed down the hallway from room 9. Not a knock this time. It was the sound of something heavy falling. Jenna couldn't just sit there. She had to know. Shaking, she got up from her chair and walked down the dimly lit hallway, her footsteps swallowed by the worn carpet. She reached the door to room 9. It was dead silent now. As she watched, her blood running cold, the doorknob began to turn slowly. From the inside, she pressed her ear against the cold wood of the door. She could hear whispers. Not one voice. Two. One was the man, his voice a terrified, muffled plea. The other voice was wrong. It sounded like something was trying to copy him, but getting it all twisted. A broken, distorted imitation of a human voice. Then came a new sound, Scratches. Long, deep scratches, dragging down the other side of the door. It sounded like something with long claws was trying to claw its way out. Jenna scrambled backward, her heart seizing in her chest, and ran back to the safety of the front desk. The manager arrived at dawn, his face grim as he saw Jenna's terrified expression. He walked straight to room 9 and opened the door. The room was empty. The bed was made. There was no sign of the man, no sign of the shadow, no sign of any struggle at all. There was just one thing, scratched deep into the plaster of the wall in jagged, desperate letters. Was a message, "Don't check in." The manager grabbed Jenna by the arm, his grip like iron. "I told you," he whispered, his voice low and dangerous. "Never open room 9, no matter who begs, no matter what you hear." Jenna quit that morning. She walked out of the Pinewood Motel and never looked back. But sometimes, late at night, when the world is quiet and dark, her phone will ring. It's always an unknown number. And when she answers, she hears a weak, static-filled whisper. "Please, I need a room, any room," and she hangs up every single time.